Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So this is the second series in the video for DMAC deliverables. This phase will talk about measure phase. Now earlier we talked about define phase. In define phase we define what the problem or project is about. In this phase, in measure phase, we want to measure how big is the problem. So there are a few tools that will be applied in measure phase, which I will give you a minute. You can have a look at the slide. So in measure phase deliverables, the first thing we do is that we bring back the project charter from define phase. Now, normally what will happen is after each phase, we will recommend something called toll gate reviews, or in other words, called project reviews. The team leaders, either green or black belt, will have to review the projects with their project champions or sponsors and get some feedback from there. Now, if there's any change in the project, then the project can still be revised. Normally, a project charter in a Six Sigma project is live at least until the improve phase. Means that it can be changed. Things may change, like the project goal may have changed, the scope of the project may have changed, or there's some corrections need to be made, especially in financial calculations, etc. So once you bring the project into measure phase, that means at the define phase, the project title and the aims, goals for the project, objectives, and so on are agreed upon by all the stakeholders concerned. In measure phase, if there's any amendments to be done, then your green or black belter will be able to do the changes accordingly. So the first tool then will be used is process mapping. So for define phase earlier, we used epoch, where the P process is at a very high level. Here the same process is broken down to every single minute step. Now obviously the Six Sigma is a process excellence project, process improvement. We have to identify if there are any value added, non-value added, and value enabling steps in the process that was drawn out. As you may have known, value added is something that a process step that adds value from the customer's perspective or customers willing to pay for. Non-value added is a waste. Basically, it may be repetitive process that may not add any value. And value enabling is certain steps in the process that you have to do it. It doesn't fall under category of value added, non-value added, but you have to do it for business reasons, such as auditing. Now, this activity is also called value analysis. So we have to show a process map. We can use it, process map, in many different ways. One is either do a simple flow chart and identify value analysis from there, or you can even use swim lane diagram. Or we'll talk about value stream map later. The next is that we talk about basic value stream map. Basic value stream map is where you can use a process map, but you identify your value added, non-value added steps in that process map itself. It's basically to identify how do you add value in the value stream product or process. If it's manufacturing, then normally it's very easy to use value stream map, where we can quantify, let's say, a working process. But nowadays you will notice that value stream map is widely used in the service sectors as well, such as banking, to look at where the delays are occurring. For example, in the loan processing process, there are a lot of delays in between WIP levels where backlogs need to be cleared, so we can use value stream map at that location. Now, Fishbone Diagram arguably is one of the most important tools in a Six Sigma project, but many will say that it's actually an analyze phase tool. Yes, you're right, it is an analyze phase tool. The reason we always bring Fishbone Diagram into measure phase because of the next tool, which is the data collection plan. We have noticed from our experience that if you use Fishbone Diagram analyze phase, it may be too late by then. We have to draw up another data collection plan to get advanced data or statistics from that Fishbone Diagram. Now, it's always suggested that Fishbone Diagram is conducted in measure phase so that we can draw up a comprehensive data collection plan. Now, Fishbone Diagram, as you know it, is also called as causes and effect diagram, where you do some brainstorming in a group of team related to the project with some subject matter experts to look at what are the causes in that particular project that you're working in. So if you do have a lot of causes identified, and you want to be able to streamline which one to prioritize or which one you want to investigate further, then the next useful tool is C&E metrics, called cause and effect metrics. This is where we give some importance rating and also our output values to the C&E metrics, and we clarify which are the important causes that we want to look at first and try to find data relevant to that. So data collection plan must be very comprehensive. Based on the Fishbone Diagram, you can identify what are the root causes or even from the C&E metrics and collect data. Now in Six Sigma, it's always emphasized that you collect data first, right, to identify what is really causing the problem at hand. That is your project title. A lot of times we will notice that if you don't do any data collection, then you may be just solving some symptoms of a problem rather than root causes. So data collection plan is very important, and in this case you have to collect the data so that you can bring in next phase. However, there's one problem with data collection plan. Sometimes we have an issue where the gauge or the people measuring the data may not be accurate. So it is advisable to do MSA study. MSA is measurement system analysis, and in that subtopic in that is gauge RNL, repeatability and reproducibility. So we will do some study. There are two types of gauge RNL. One is for continuous data, which we use measurement equipment. Another one is count data as well, which is discrete data, where we look at the data itself, how is it collected, who's collecting it, whether the standards are there, how to collect data, and also the equipment itself. Most important in measure phase is what we call Z value or Z bench, or in other words called sigma level. Sometimes you may not use, if it's manufacturing, you use process capability, for example CP, CPK, PP and PPK values to be enabled to benchmark or baseline your project before any improvements takes place. Now this sigma level is very important to be determined in measure phase. Why? Because if you're going to improve after improve phase, then we want to see that we have made significant improvements in our project. And again, sigma level can be calculated. As long as you can collect data for any process, then sigma level can be calculated. Another useful tool is FMEA for the current process. FMEA stands for failure mode and effect analysis. This is where we look at breaking down the process steps, just like we had a process map drawn up earlier, and we look at what are the potential failure effects for each of the process and how severe they are, how likely they occur, and is there any current detection in that particular process. Now a lot of time when we do an FMEA, we will find that is a lot of action plan that can be drawn up. The usefulness of FMEA here is that we do get two types of solution. One we call is JDI, just do it, means that we can from the FMEA itself take some of the recommended actions as just do it. Means that we can fix a project itself, the problem itself that's occurring in the project, and we can fix that with some quick fixes. But sometimes we do get some good solutions out of FMEA. That doesn't mean that the project will stop at measure phase. It just means that now we got some tentative ideas of some solutions that can be implemented that we brought in. We will bring it into the improve phase for further study. And finally, again, we have to update our project timing plan and mention any just do it activities. Now, a lot of times I get question is that these just do it activities, will they be part and parcel of this project? Can we justify the savings? Of course, if the just do it activity has came out exactly from this project itself, from your brainstorming, from your FMEA and so on, this measure phase, then it's by right you have to calculate the savings that you will be achieving from it, as long as it came from this project. And we talk about issue, barrier, challenges. In summary again, in measure phase there could be some issues that you face. Maybe there's not enough equipment, or the measurement method is not really standardized yet. Some barriers to the project. Maybe you need to change your team members now. Some challenges, and of course summary for the measure phase. So bear in mind, measure phase is to baseline your project where it is currently at, and we have to draw a process map first to be able to identify any value added, non-value added, value enabling steps. We can draw a value stream map, a very basic to start with first. We can do a fishbone diagram here, which, if you remember, I mentioned earlier that it is an analyze phase too, but it's best to be done to the measure phase so that your data collection plan can be comprehensive. You will need to do an MSA or gauge R&R study to be able to get accurate data. And sigma value calculations is to determine where your project is at currently. And we can do a FMEA to look at risk in the projects, and timing plan to be able to determine if there's any changes. Is the project going to take shorter than earlier, or it's going to be longer than before? And finally, the summary. So look forward to the next video. We'll talk about analyze phase, one of the crucial parts in Six Sigma project, and we will talk a bit more about data analysis.